If you've got a growing business, this is why it is so important to become more of a thinker and a planner than a doer. And it's probably one of the hardest chasms that business owners have to jump across. Driven Mofos, welcome back to another episode of The Underestimated Entrepreneur. Today we're going to be talking about why it is so important to have a really big personality shift in your business if you're scaling. And this is something that I see in businesses a lot, where a business will grow and it will start to scale, and then the business owner will self-sabotage it and it will self-destruct and it will contract again. And then it will grow again and then it will contract and it will grow and it will contract. And one of the biggest patterns that I've noticed is that business owners have trouble letting go of work and they have trouble stepping into thinking mode and planning mode. So let's talk about it. Now, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Michael Mojo. I'm the owner of Mojo Human Performance Institute, where we focus on business, mindset, and lifestyle hacking for driven mofos. The reason why I do these episodes is that most people waste their life, and I just don't want you to be one of them. So it is so important that if you've got a scaling business, it will get to a point where at first, most business owners work really, really hard, and they're hard workers. And as the business starts to scale and they've been effective at their job, they'll start to onboard more team. And when they onboard more team, there'll be more action. And when there's more action, there's more stuff that's happening, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's more progress. One of the bottlenecks that can happen is that a business owner who does everything can essentially become the bottleneck in the business themselves. And this is because that a lot of business owners don't like letting go of things. They want to check everything. They want to make sure that everything goes through them. They want to make sure that everything's done their way. And so the business is very much an I business, which is I'm the business owner. It's all about me. I want to check everything. I want to do everything because when people think about the business, they think about me. And so when that happens, it makes it very, very hard for the business owner to ever walk away from that business. And when I speak to most business owners, they'll say things like, I wish I could just take a month off, or I want to be able to go away for 6 months and not come back to like just the business being disintegrated. But they will never get it to that place because they keep trying to do everything. And so they have to have a big personality shift and they have to jump across this massive chasm in their own psychology. And it is so tough and it's so scary. And I know that I was scared when it happened, and I've worked with many, many business owners that are super scared of this. And they're scared because the truth is your business is your baby. It's the thing that you've worked hard for. You've dedicated a lot of time and money and effort and energy into this business. And so you can start to become afraid that someone else is going to fuck it up. They're not going to do as good a job as you, that they're not as dedicated as you. You'll start seeing these problems and mistakes, and so you become more aware of them. And that frustrates you and it upsets you. And you think, well, what about the customer? What does the customer think? Are we doing a good enough job? We're going to lose customers. And so you start to create all this worry and all this concern. So you then keep stepping back in and keeping your fingers and toes in everything. It can cause micromanagement, but also it takes away the value of the staff. And it really stops them from producing their own competence and from feeling valuable in their role. I know this because I went through it for a fair while, but I've seen other business owners go through it for way, way longer than what I have. And in fact, some people have been doing it their whole lives. I've worked with business owners and met business owners that are in their 60s. They started their business in their 20s and they still micromanage everything. Everything comes through them. They've got disempowered staff. They complain about problems all the time. Mentally and emotionally, they're just shut off, and they do that because it's safer to just stay shut off than have to deal with the reason why their fucking business isn't growing. Their baby hasn't grown in 20 or 30, 40 years. And they will never ever develop that sort of freedom that they want, where they can go on holidays and not freak out every day about the business being worse. The importance of it is that as your business starts to scale, if you've got a team, they need to have better direction. They need to have better leadership. So as a business scales, the entrepreneur then has to start to become a better leader, and they've got to develop their leadership skills. They have to develop their communication skills. They have to be better at the ability to plan things, at the ability to put in processes. All of those things make a massive difference because it's all about the energy and the resource direction. So if your team come to work every day and they're just doing stuff and doing stuff and doing stuff, they're essentially diversifying or spraying out their energy. And it might look like there's a lot of action. It's just that there's not a lot of productivity and not a lot of growth. That can cause a lot of frustration for the business owner. But the business owner's problem isn't that the staff aren't doing stuff. They're just not doing effective things because they have no direction. When a business owner normally sits down and they start to think, there's this drive and adrenaline that pops up inside of them, goes, shit, I got to get stuff done again. And so they have this knee-jerk reaction to needing to do things. And I get it every now and again where if that starts to happen, I take a week off because I then become like a crackhead that craves crack. By the way, I don't take drugs at all, but the crack that I have is adrenaline. And after a while of just running off of like adrenaline, I notice that I can't stop because if I sit down, I'm like, shit, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to get this done. And my brain just fires off all this work to do. And so I can't actually properly relax. I can't switch off. I can't sit and have a proper thought process without my brain kicking in of all the work that I've got to do. And that's because I've become addicted to the process of one, needing to be needed, and number two, having this adrenaline pump. Well, that's what I call it anyway. It's the adrenaline pump. So if that starts to happen, I just take a whole week off. And for the first 2 to 3 days, it is miserable because I lie on the couch and my brain's like, you piece of shit. You lazy motherfucker. Look at all the work that you're not doing. There's all this stuff to be done. Why aren't you doing it? And my brain just goes crazy. But it's because what it's trying to do is it's trying to get me to go and do what it's craving, which is get more adrenaline, get more of that adrenaline pump. You can get addicted to your hormones and your hormonal responses. For a lot of business owners, they just run under that adrenaline pump and needing to do things and having that knee-jerk reaction all the time that the whole business needs them. And so they just don't think and they just don't plan and they just don't prioritize and they're not effective with their communication, which then just means that the business is never going to grow. And if it does grow, it's going to just grow off of, hiring more and more people. But then you'll just bitch and moan and complain about how fucked everybody is and how stuff's not getting done. So it is really, really important to switch off that adrenaline pump and to really start to think about how you plan. Because what you then need to do is go and give the directions to the team where they can go and execute things effectively. And then it's going to make more competent staff. They're going to build their skill sets. They're going to become more effective. They're going to become more efficient. And all of a sudden, the business is going to start to steamroll ahead. Then you could put in good, high quality leadership team and they'll start to drive the business. And they'll start making better decisions because you've given them that opportunity to do so. And so slowly, you start getting this machine that runs without you. And it goes from now being essentially you on a motorcycle with 5 other people hanging off of it to being a freight train that even if you stood in front of it, it would just overpower you. And that's what happens when you have a big business that has a great leadership team and a great management team. They will just drive that business with or without you. And that's like a business owner's dream, but they just won't jump that chasm of needing to do everything because they're afraid of what might happen if they're not doing everything. But it's a huge insecurity, and that's all it is. It's just an insecurity and they just need to deal with it. It's a psychological problem and a mindset problem. It's just a mindset shift. It's not even a problem. It's just a mindset shift. But it can be very scary. So anyway, I just wanted to share this, Driven Mofos, because I know a fair few of you out there are probably having a scaling business. You're probably hiring more staff. But if you notice yourself starting to complain about staff and figuring that everyone's ineffective and you're bitching and moaning about it, it's probably because you're not being a good leader. And you're not being a good leader because you're not planning effectively, you're not thinking effectively, and you're not seeing that as being productive. That was something that stopped me because when I would sit down, I'd be like, I'm being lazy. I know now that I'm not being lazy. I'm being effective, that I need time to think. If I need to lead, I need time to think, and the team need good direction. I can't just let everyone go without a map and just say, go, 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 and then change my mind every 3 minutes and like, hey, we need to do this, and hey, this is a problem now. Because all that happens is you end up with an erratic team. Now I spend a lot more time planning and a lot more time thinking, and because of that, the team now are way better at execution and they're way more effective. And our business it can operate now, not ages without me, but it can operate quite a bit more without me. Anyway, Driven Mofos, I hope this helps massively. For those of you who have jumped across to our Facebook page, I want to say thank you and welcome to our Facebook group, which is the No BS Business Hacks for Driven Mofos group. If you go to Facebook and you want to join, it's free. I pop in daily content. I share everything from tips and tools and strategies around finances, marketing, sales, branding, leadership, management, all of those things. And we do Focus Fridays, do Mindset Mondays. So please jump into that group if you haven't already done so. I guarantee you'll get a lot of value out of it. I normally chuck in stuff every day as well. My team also adds stuff and other business owners add stuff as well. So it's a great place to stay connected with other like-minded business owners who are growing. I know there have been some friendships and some good connections and some coffee catch-ups that have come out of that group. So again, just go to Facebook, type in Driven Mofo Business Hacks in the search bar, and you'll see it'll come up and it'll say No BS Business Hacks for Driven Mofos. Jump in there, it's free. And anyway, I look forward to seeing you in there. Driven Mofos, remember, never underestimate the dream. Keep living with Mojo.